to me, you just look at the names that they picked. They went pretty heavily with the veteran dudes.
Established, yeah.
And I think LeBron has a significant voice in this.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the roster's what it is. And I think if you were not on that roster, that's the reason why.
Because of Bron.
Yeah.
So it's like a Mike move.
I think so. I don't think he's making the moves because he has like individual beef, but I literally feel that LeBron, he was on board early to participate in this Olympics, and I think that kind of the conditions where I kind of want to play with the guys that I want to play with, and it's going to be a balance between functional utility of guys that can win, but it's also going to be like playing with Kawhi. That's probably an influence in that. Playing with Curry. I mean, I think that like some of the older names and older guard guys that are part of this.
But there's never going to be any beef with those guys, even Kawhi. I mean, if he's healthy, he plays.
It's relatively safe.
Our 76ers just won by 1 point, man.
They came back.
They came back. We overcame a 14-point deficit in
Nice.
the fourth quarter. Nicholas Batum really kicked it up a notch.
The Flying Frenchman.
Yeah, Embiid had a good second half.
It's a great time for French athletics, Bubba.
Slow until then.
I'm wearing the national team shirt right now.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's why I wish Embiid would have went to. We're going to get into that, actually, though, really quickly here. But, as I'm checking the score to the game in between time, because the loser of this game, which now is Miami, they're going to play the winner of Atlanta and Chicago,
which should tip off shortly,
and then they're going to get the opportunity and the pleasure to play Boston, and Boston for the 76ers is our Denver Nuggets for the Lakers. Like Boston just kicks our ass every time we play them.
Yeah.
So this whole show, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, if we got to play Boston, we got to play Boston. I'm like, to beat a man, you got to beat the man. I just told a Lakers fan that earlier. I was like, man, don't be afraid, man. To beat a man, you got to beat the man.
You just told him.
And then I'm over here. I'm like, man, we have to avoid Boston at all costs. I don't give a fuck what we have to do. If we have to, if we have to injure every Heat player out here tonight, that's what we have to do because we can't play Boston. But then I'm like, okay, if we're going to lose this game, I got to get back on. Okay, we could do it. It's crazy, the emotions.
So if that's the difference if you look at it as being like fan or connected to the team versus like maybe somebody who's just interested in gambling.
Yeah.
Like you just, okay, well, hey, this team's better, they're going to win. But like when you're the lesser team or perceived to be the lesser team, like you're just trying to find a way.
Just trying to find a way,
like,
man.
How can we make this happen? That's the goal.
You're just trying to find a way. So now Philly will play the Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. And Knicks are a very tough team. They play Philly very well. It's always a tough matchup. Neither team I can say really has an advantage over the last 2 years. I wouldn't be surprised if we were dead even. Maybe another team, one of us has won a game or two up. And they are missing Randall, who's a piece over there, but we're missing Tobias. So it's like it's an even matchup. And Tobias is going to be out there, but he's just, always missing.
I was going to say, did he get hurt tonight?
He's always hurt. Yeah, he's hurting us. And Jalen, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey, it's going to be some good matchups out there, man. And of course, I'm going for Philly. I think Philly is going to win. But there already have been some pundits that have picked New York.
All those Knicks guys going back to Philly. Like the whole Villanova crew.
Yeah. With that Villanova crew.
Brunson.
Well, Cal is already there,
Hart,
but yeah.
And DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
They'll probably enjoy playing that series.
Yeah.
For that reason.
They'll sneak in some fans there, man.
That's what I'm saying. They'll probably have some local support and be just very comfortable with the city and being there and all that.
Yeah. Should be an entertaining, but knockout, drag out type series. It's not going to be a lot of flash to that series there, man. But yeah, Team USA. Basically, what they did was, man, they locked down, man, the team, and they when they first announced it, they had 11 of the 12 players.
Yeah, really peculiar. They named 11 guys, and then 48 hours later, the 12th guy's named.
Right.
I didn't understand what was were they receiving some sort of assurance from Kawhi that he
would
participate?
That's what I thought. But
Okay.
today there was a report that Kawhi didn't know until today. Like
Really? Okay.
what I really think that when that news came out, what you can surmise is they probably had a pool of about 3, 4, 5 players, and they were all in the room saying, okay, which one of these guys do we want to select? And I think they just closed their eyes and picked
Right.
Kawhi.
I was going to say, if they had 3 or 4 guys, I wonder what was the determining factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder, typically a national team operates where you have a pool of players. Maybe you have 18, 22 guys in the pool, and then for each international tournament, you select the 12 that are going to go. So I wonder if they're going to disclose, whoever the rest of the pool is. Because I am not a gambling man, but I would bet that by the end of the playoffs, one or more of the guys that are in the 12 will not be available.
Yeah. I mean, it's highly possible.
Just pick an
Embiid
injury up or
is highly
whatever.
possible. But let's talk about the players who missed the cut here. We're going to pick this picture up. But look how weird Devin Booker looks in this picture. Does he look weird to you?
Where is he?
On the far right? He just looked like his head is too big for his body.
Yeah, it looks like a caricature.
It looks
Maybe
fake.
they photoshopped the guy's heads on. Is he the only one that looks a little strange?
He's the only one that looks strange. I guess, he's the only one that looks strange. But anyway,
Okay.
Let's talk about the players that are left off, because right here you have Embiid, you have Holiday, you have Bam, you have Tyrese Halliburton, you have Anthony Edwards, your guy, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and I got Devin Booker. Okay. Now, remember, we talked about this when they had the big pool of players, and we were talking about everybody who's they're going to be choosing from.
Right.
So the players that were left off, you got Paulo from Orlando. More notably, De'Aaron Fox, Paul George, James Harden, who really wanted to be a part of this team, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Dame Time, your guy.
Saw him live the other day. Was not impressed.
Jalen Brunson left off. I thought for sure he would have made this team. Okay, those are more notably. Let me see if I can find another big name. Trae Young. He's the guy who's been dying to play for Team USA. He's always tweeting about it. But I'm glad he's not on the team. Brandon Ingram, and Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson is not making
He's terrible.
a comeback.
He was god awful in the World Championships.
I
I would never invite him back.
And then Jaylen Brown. I think that's another
Yeah.
nice sized name there.
Yeah.
Okay, no need to name the others.
I mean, to me, you just look at the names that they picked. They went pretty heavily with the veteran dudes.
Established, yeah.
And I think LeBron has a significant voice in this.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the roster's what it is. And I think if you were not on that roster, that's the reason why.
Because of Bron.
Yeah.
So it's like a Mike move.
I think so. I don't think he's making the moves because he has individual beef, but I literally feel that LeBron, he was on board early to participate in this Olympics, and I think that kind of the conditions where I kind of want to play with the guys that I want to play with, and it's going to be a balance between functional utility of guys that can win, but it's also going to be playing with Kawhi. That's probably an influence in that. Playing with Curry. I mean, I think that like some of the older names and older guard guys that are part of this.
But there's never going to be any beef with those guys, even Kawhi. I mean,
No,
if he's healthy, he plays.
It's relatively safe.
But
it's safe. There's nobody on that team that feels egregiously wrong.
Not egregiously wrong, but I wouldn't have Devin Booker on here. Not over some of the other options.
No, I wouldn't either.
And then
I mean, even KD, for crying out loud. I mean, LeBron and KD, they for them to run and play together.
I understand KD, but I wouldn't.
But here's the thing. I mean,
I understand.
I've since LeBron committed, I've looked at this Olympic team as essentially like LeBron's fantasy weekend of basketball, and he gets to play with me, KD, Steph, Kawhi, all on the same team. Let's do this. Whenever in our lives will this ever happen?
You know what's interesting, and this one I do agree with, is Halliburton over Jalen Brunson. And I think a lot of people in the grand scheme of things are going to be the opposite. They would have wanting Brunson over Halliburton. But Halliburton is he's way more of a passer, distributor.
Yeah.
And when you have all of these scorers on the perimeter, you need that more. Jalen can get buckets, man. I know he can pass the ball. I know he has vision. But his biggest attribute is scoring.
You also have to look at on one angle of Team USA being a bit of a continuity, and I think that Halliburton and Anthony Edwards were probably the most universally praised out of the last group.
And Jalen wasn't a part of that group, was he?
I don't believe he was.
I wonder why. Yeah, because he wasn't.
They had some different guys.
Because he's that level. He's that level of player that should have been.
Yeah, but Anthony Edwards was clearly the best player we had in the Olympics.
Clearly,
or not the Olympics, the World Championships.
The World Champ, yeah.
And Halliburton was very good. And Halliburton has a very positive, good attitude.
No, that's a good point.
And I think they're to an extent. I hate to say that. I mean, they're 100% deserving.
Yeah.
But I also think on some level they're being rewarded.
Yeah.
For being a part of this before. And that's worth noting. Part of this I don't like. I out of respect for the greats, I do want to see them all play together and win, and I do. But I think the national team is at its healthiest when you have the prime stars being the focal point of the team and them essentially committing to each other to do this. That we're going, and I think that's what you have with the Redeem team. Those guys bought in to playing together in the Olympic cycle, and and that's why you had the result that you had. And I think that that's really important. A good national team has an identity and a culture to it. That certain guys are kind of standards while they're in their prime of their career. You're always looking to integrate the younger guys to create like the next generation behind that. And when you're doing that successfully, you're going to have enough continuity and enough meaning in that group to compete against the better European teams.
As constructed, who's the starting lineup?
That's the biggest question. I don't know what the hell you're going to do there. You could look at this.
Take a stab at it.
Anthony Edwards is on the team. He might be a bit player. You could probably
give me a realistic, not what you would do. Give me what you think it would be.
My gut feeling, because I think LeBron has heavy say in this, is I think you'll have LeBron, KD, Steph, Embiid, and then the fifth guy. You could go in a couple directions. I mean, they could give it to Ant and just say we want the young guy to be a part of this or whatever. They could just go with Kawhi and be just here's our.
What about Anthony Davis? Because of LeBron factor, you're saying.
Could be. I don't think he's as good a fit if you're playing Embiid. I think you probably would be better served with some better shooting.
Oh, okay.
You'll have Curry, KD, which is a great shooting, but Embiid can shoot as well. But I don't think you want to clog up the floor as much.
Okay.
I think
maybe that's your lineup for France, because they have
the bigs.
Yeah, Rudy and Vic. But outside of that, I understand.
Yeah, that could be the thing. So
yeah.
No, I think you could go a lot of ways with that fifth starter. I do think Drew Holiday is interesting.
He's a nice piece. That's why I didn't even mention his name
because when you really got to remember when they were in the Olympics the last time, he came out of the NBA Finals winning, and he went right to that game.
Right to it.
Booker did as well, but Booker had a very peripheral role. Quickly, and it was Popovich at the time, he realized he had to have Holiday on the floor a lot for that team to function. KD was the centerpiece and the MVP of it. But when you watch those games, Holiday was on the floor a lot and a lot when it mattered.
Drew is a well-respected player, man.
Yeah, and I think that really his inclusion in this, because he's not a sexy player. You could, De'Aaron Fox is probably Kyrie is a more attractive sort of pick, sexier pick, as it were. But I think for functional utility and versatility and defense, they're no, we need this guy.
Yeah.
And I respect that they did that.